My name is Ashley Graber, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist and meditation and mindfulness teacher. My practice is in Santa Monica, California, and I came to this work because I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of different modalities, and I had done as much work as I can with my head, and I really needed to get underneath what I had learned and understand why the behaviors that I was having in my life were still going on. And I heard about this through a dear friend who had worked with Pedro and Carolina a number of times. So it was a resounding yes at a certain point in my life. I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And then one day it was just very clear that this was the next step for me, sort of the next frontier. So as the process went on for me, it was really difficult in the beginning, a little bit scary, a lot vulnerable. But as I went through the ceremonies, I began to see how the medicine really works. And very early on, there was a removal for me of what was the demon of my cocaine addiction and my alcohol addiction. I'm also sober and have been for over a decade. And the medicine helped me to remove what I didn't think was still there. I couldn't have imagined that after a decade plus of sobriety, that there was still something in me that was energetically working in my body. And Juana was able to remove that for me. And albeit difficult and a bit scary, the feeling that I got after the fact was amazing. I could actually feel that it was removed from me. And in the process of the ceremonies, I spent a lot of time processing trauma. I do have sexual trauma in my past, and I could feel that moving. You know, there was an actual physical shaking that was happening in my body. And a sort of funny thing that was happening was, for a few ceremonies, I kept wishing to go to the bathroom. And I couldn't understand, for one, why I was stuck, and for two, why I wanted so badly to be able to go to the bathroom. It wasn't for obvious reasons. And what I came to realize is that my body was frozen for a lot of years, and that the medicine actually helped me to move my body. These are tears of joy, because although I've done somatic work, I've done EMDR work, there's nothing that has actually moved my body and actually given it the ability to be able to be in motion the way that this work has. And although I laughed about actually getting to the bathroom, that was a profound time for me of being able to actually get my body up and move. So I could feel how the medicine processed that trauma through and allowed me to actually have movement in life. In another ceremony, something that was very profound for me was a detachment from my mother that I needed. I have also suffered from a lot of anxiety in my life. And although I teach meditation and practice meditation on a regular basis, and as I said, have done so much other therapeutic work, I couldn't get detached from what I know was energetically put into my body, transgenerationally put into my body, and physically put from being attached to her. And there was a specific ceremony where I just went down and down and down, and just looking at my anxiety and where is it coming from and why do I still have it. And after I have worked for so many years to try to detach from it, and I could physically see where the umbilical cords were broken, where my umbilical cord was broken in that moment. And so I could feel a physical detachment happening from her. And I have found from that ceremony on that my anxiety is very, very low. And in another ceremony, I'm not quite clear what exactly was happening, but I was in a surgery, so I was in an actual surgery room, and Carolina's Ikaros were going in and actually doing surgery on my body. And as I said, I'm not very clear exactly what was happening. I do know that there was something being changed in my body. And in addition to that, with Juana, I could feel that when she was singing to me, as I would lean forward, sitting, face to her and lean forward, I could feel in my brain that there were things being changed. I wish I knew exactly what they were, but I don't really care because I can feel that there was changes happening in my body, and I assume that that will become clear at some point, but I don't really need it to be clear right now. One of the things that I came to this work wanting to really work on was enlivening my divine feminine. I'm a A-type person who comes from a business family, so I was really taught to work hard and keep moving forward and just work, and I'm very good at that. Although that doesn't do me much good in life, to be balanced. And I had been talking about for years, I want balance in life, and I for years have been thinking I need to work less and play more, and that would mean I'm balanced. But what I realized in this is that the balance really needed to be between my feminine and masculine sides. And I asked the medicine in one particular ceremony to please enliven my divine feminine. And she answered that for me. And again, the process of seeing it seems so sort of funny, in that I really wanted to move to the end of my mat, to be as close to Juana as I could be. And in the first few ceremonies, I couldn't get myself to do that. And my masculine side would say something like, just go to the end of the mat, Ashley. It's so easy. That's so stupid. Just get to the end of the mat. But what I realized was that in the ceremony that I asked to enliven my divine feminine, what it allowed me to do was move halfway up and sit there and just be with that and see how when my masculine is talking to me and yakking at me, that it doesn't actually help me to take care of myself and to take care of my nervous system. So in that particular ceremony, I moved to the middle of the mat, and then I sat there and I got comfy. I thought, okay, I'm just gonna sit here for a minute. And then I could see, okay, my nervous system is calm and I feel safe and I feel good, and then I can move to the end of the mat. And by the time Juana got to me, I felt comfortable to move to the end of the mat, and that was so beautiful for me, because it really helped me to see that that's the balance in life, that's the balance I had been looking for, was to allow myself to tap into that side of me that really nurtures me and takes care of me. And that I got to see all the ways that my masculine just yaks and talks and barks and orders me to do things, but that I can just let it be and honor its power, but not have to listen to it so much, that I can really be in that balance, the balance that I was really looking for. So one of the other things that came out of this was really tapping into my own power and really being okay with myself. So much of the work that I see, or the reasons that I see people come, at least to my office, is because they judge themselves, or they're worried about the ways that other people judge them or society judges them. And although I've done a ton of work on that, there was still some work for me to do. And I could see how in the ceremonies, I could see so clearly how my own judgments come up, or society, or even religious judgments, come up in life. And it really helped me to see how I can be run by those things. And what I got out of this was, in the most beautiful way, not really giving a crap what anyone thinks about me. And that I'm really good just the way I am. And I've done so much work on a couch, with a therapist since I was in my teens, trying to get there, really trying to get to that point in my life. And I can see how this work does that. So if anyone ever came to me and they wanted to do this work, I would say for sure that would be something that they would, I would hope that they would get out of this, and that it's such an important piece, because what I can feel is that it took all of this work and kind of congealed it, right? It kind of brought it all together and highlighted or connected what I had been trying to do all these years. And it just sort of like, I don't know, a speed train right to it, and I keep checking back. I'm not a terribly suspicious person, but I do this even with EMDR work that I do myself, that I'll be like, okay, well, that's reprocessed, but let's just see if it sticks, right? And I've been doing that with this. Let's just see if that sticks, if that idea that I really am good with myself sticks. And I find myself going, is that really true? And it is, and it has been, and I really look forward to seeing how it will stick in the future, because I know in my soul that it will, that it absolutely will stick, and that there's something that's been put inside of me to let me know that, highlighted inside of me. It was like in the ceremonies, I could see that these ways that I judged myself, or I allowed myself to be judged by other people, I could just watch them go to the light. Just sort of disappear in those moments. And there was always this sort of wonderful moment in the ceremonies where it felt like somebody turned a light on behind me, right? It would just get really bright behind me, and I would always look. So I would think somebody turned a light on. They didn't actually turn a light on. It was just that stuff going to the light. And the other thing that was really profound for me, which I think would be really good for people wanting to come to this work, is that having been a meditation teacher and a practitioner of this for a decade plus, that I really got the idea of just being, right? And that goes along with what I was talking about, just being who I am, where I am in this moment. And I teach this all day long, every day. And I thought I had it. I really did. But I got it in the medicine work. So those two things, I think, are just so profound to take away from this, that knowing that in this moment, that everything is okay, and I'm okay in this moment. It's profound, truly. So I've known about this work for about as long as I've been sober. And in my early sobriety, I heard about it, but thought, no way can I do that, because it would somehow challenge my sobriety, that I would somehow break my sobriety. And it's become very clear to me that this in no way, shape, or form breaks anyone's sobriety. You don't do an ayahuasca ceremony and then think like, oh, I'm going to get addicted to that. It's just not possible. It's not although it is something that that maybe changes your chemistry from the neck up, it's not something that you wake up the next day craving. I mean, for anyone that's ever done it and you're watching this, you're probably laughing, thinking, yeah, this is absolutely true. And for anyone that hasn't done it, just to know that this really is not something that is going to break your sobriety, or something that you're going to wake up with the craving for. Because that's the most important piece for an alcoholic or an addict, is to stay very clear of anything that goes into your body that causes a craving. And I will say this, that I have taken pain medications in my sobriety for operations that I've had. And that's a lot scarier to do than this. And although in my sobriety I've done it the quote-unquote right way, I've had somebody dole it out to me, I've checked in with a sponsor, that the taking those medications caused the craving inside of me that I had to work with. And although I did that successfully, in a comparison, this is not that way. That this work and this medicine does not make you in any way, shape, or form wake up with a craving the next day for it. If anything, it might be the opposite. Yeah, And I'll just say too, maybe just to add to that, that if you're thinking about doing this work and you are sober and concerned about it, that the path that I took to doing this was to talk to my sober friends and that had done this work, and also to talk to my therapist. So, to have people in your life that you can have the discussions with, just to get very clear, on your reasons for doing it. And I was very clear that my reasons for doing this were not to get high, but to do deep internal work. So I was lucky to find Carolina and Pedro through a dear friend who has worked with them a number of times. So I felt very comfortable coming to this, and everything that my friend told me was absolutely true. From the moment that I met Carolina and Pedro until the last day of the retreat, they held a beautiful, beautiful space. They were 100% available for us, not only during the ceremonies, but in the times in between. And really let me know that no matter what was coming up for me, that they were there for me. And the times in between, it was very easy to find them and just say, hey, can we have a chat? Or, hey, I have a question for you, and I don't understand this piece. And for a newbie like me, that was really important. There were a lot of conversations I had with Pedro that I was like, hey, I don't understand this, explain it to me. And there were some times that I pulled Carolina aside because of what had come up in a ceremony, and just really wanted someone to chat it through with. And she was always available for that. Both of them were. And in the ceremonies, it was so helpful for me, especially because they tell you right in the beginning that if you need help, you just say help. And the minute you say help, they're there for you. Literally just coming over. And if they're busy, they're telling you, we'll be right with you. And I even had a really wonderful healing moment in ceremony where Juana was singing to me and I screamed for help. And Carolina came over and told me it's best that just Juana is there at this moment, but that she'll come back for me and, check on me. I forgot about it right after that, but she was true to her word and came over and said, I told you that I would come back and check on you, and so I'm coming back to check on you. And although I didn't need her at that moment, I could feel how my heart softened even more in that moment, just knowing that somebody was so caring and loving of me in that time. I guess what I would say to summarize this experience is that it's been life-changing for me, and that if you're considering doing this work, in your heart, that it's right for you, but you're maybe questioning it, that not only are Carolina and Pedro available for you to talk that through, but to just go with your heart. It's what I did, and I have found that there has been already huge changes in my life, and I'm so excited and curious about how that's going to play out in the next weeks, months, years, because I can feel that there have been profound changes from the inside out, which is exactly what I was looking for, was to do the work that comes from inside rather than the work that comes from my head, because thus far that hasn't helped me very much. That's not true. It has helped me, but this doing the work from the inside is what's really made these big changes.